Check, check. Can you hear me? I think you can. Welcome to my first ever real vlog. Not really. I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll see how this works. All right, I gotta get this to go to my mic. You're going to my microphone. That is on. That's what I like to hear. Okay. Welcome to the Next Gen Leadership interview. What am I going to call it? Welcome to the Next Gen Leadership book review / what you can do in recruiting to make yourself better. This is one of my first episodes of doing this. I'm trying it out. We'll see how it works. I'm also recording this as an episode on my podcast so that you can view it there as well. Today what I want to talk about with you is this idea of how do I get a coach to interview, or how do I get a coach to reply to me and have a conversation with me in the college recruiting world. What I found was the hardest thing about even sales to this day is that you struggle with the idea of actually making contacts with people. So in sales, for example, you have to reach 100 people in order for you to make one sale, or whatever the number is. Typically in my sales world, you have to reach 10 people, or you have to contact 10 people to reach 3 to make a sale, or at least get a meeting on with one person. So a 10% failure or success rate, not failure. And this idea of doing that over and over and over again is what's going to bring you success in the business and whatever you're doing. And so we're talking about this idea today because now it applies to recruiting. How do I have a conversation with a coach? How do I get the coach to even respond to me? And what does it take to get to that point? Okay, so the idea of us trying to do this, I wanted to bring on this book, Chop Wood, Carry Water. Okay, this is a great sales book. It's how to fall in love with the process of becoming great. It's by Joshua Medcalf. Back in college, he came and talked to our university about this book. My coach made me read it and check it out. From a leadership side of things, he asked me to kind of review, how do we use this as our team? How do we implement some of these things that he talks about? And for how would I do this for a high school baseball player? Well, when we talk about in this book is doing the same thing repetitively over and over again. So what does it look like to be repetitive in our actions? Again, like I mentioned in the sales world, we're doing it over and over again. We're making a sale. In the college recruiting world, it's as simple as making an email or a phone call to a coach. Okay, so my goal is to reach out to 10 coaches today, okay, via email, whatever it is. And if I can do that, I expect 3 to 5 coaches to reply. Okay, now every time we send an email to a coach or we make contact with a coach, we have to have some sort of context inside of that email. And inside of that, we typically have our recruiting video. Now, if your recruiting video is not done correctly, this can sometimes turn a coach off. And what I mean by that is if you just kind of take video on your phone, it's low quality, there's not good sound, maybe you're playing explicit music in the background, things aren't quite the way they should be, a coach might not really think that's very valid video, and they might throw it away. So what is inside of your email? What is the most important part of what you're trying to get across as a message? One, you have to have a professionally edited video. And if you're going to do that, you have to stay focused on what the video looks like, all right, and how that video goes about showing your talents. So if you don't have a good camera, how are you going to do that? Well, that's why people utilize my services where I help professionally edit videos and things like that. Inside of that video, there needs to be maybe 10 to 12 swings, quality swings. Your pitcher can't be wild. Okay, the coach doesn't want to see a bunch of wildness and a bunch of craziness. Maybe you need to have pitching in there, and you have to have 3 different pitches from each. Maybe you have to have some fielding in there. What position do you play? Are you from the outfield? Taking about 10 swings. These videos don't have to be long. They don't have to be 10 minutes long of every single position you play and every single movement you make in the game. But they just have to be enough and professionally done to a point where the coach can see it and say, okay, this is reputable. This is important information for me to kind of pick up from this player. I like him. Now getting back to the email side of things. Okay, if I reach out to those 10 coaches and those 5 coaches or 3 coaches reply, all right, what does that mean? It means that 5 of them weren't interested, 3 to 5 of them were, okay, and maybe is the key word right there, maybe they have some potential at recruiting. You have only started this process. You haven't gotten into the full nitty-gritty of things, And that's the most important part to remember. This is the beginning of the relationship and is your responsibility as the athlete to take over and make this a priority in your job. This is your job. This is what you're trying to do. All right. So your identity now has to be flip the switch. I'm trying to get recruited by this coach now. Okay. You already have the in. You already have the ability now that he replied to have contact with him. Now, there are levels of having coach contact with particular divisions. So for Division I example, you can't always, they won't always reply to you. So maybe they're just waiting until they're in an open period where they can contact you. But let's use the Division III example for now. A Division III coach can reach out to you whenever they want. All right, there's no recruiting rules. There's not specifics that there are recruiting rules, but there's not specifics like there is for Division I or Division II. All right, and so if you're a Division III caliber baseball player, you can reach out to all the Division III schools out there. All right, and there should be 500 plus schools that you could try and at least reach out to. And if you do that, the numbers say in this book that you're going to get some contacts, and at least one coach is going to be interested in you. All right, and maybe I'm rambling a little bit there, but the idea that you do this repetitively over and over and over again is going to provide you with some opportunities. No matter where you fit in a high school team, if you think you're a good enough player to play at that school, I suggest reaching out to that coach as many times, or reaching out to as many coaches as you can, as many times as you can. Now, where does this kind of start? Okay, my mind rambles a lot, so hone me in a little bit. If you where do I begin? All right. It's important to have some sort of database. So I use Microsoft Excel. That's what they call it. And I just list them off. Okay. I emailed Hamlin. I emailed Ripon College. I emailed Whitewater. I emailed La Crosse. I emailed Buena Vista. I emailed California Lutheran. All right. And that's my list of schools. And I just keep listing those things off. And in that list, I maybe put the date I emailed them, the coach's name, and the coach's contact information. Now that coach reaches out to me, I change that. I go back to my list and I say, all right, that coach contacted me. Where are we in the process? So use an Excel spreadsheet if you don't have anything already. Use something that's very easy to do. Maybe you like writing it down. That's an easy way to do things. All right, and maybe it's just a matter of you just kind of putting it on your phone and keeping that coach's name in there and setting a reminder to contact that coach again. Okay, but we're talking about the start of the relationship and what it means to be in love with the process. You playing baseball and you being, getting recruited to play college baseball, you have to fall in love with the recruiting process just as much as you have to fall in love with playing the game of baseball. Okay, it takes a lot of effort to be recruited if you aren't a celebrity or like top PBR player or the best in the state, right? It takes a lot of work for you to get your name out there, and you're building your own brand. Now, what does your brand mean? That could be you're a hard-working player, or you consider yourself a leader on your team, or you're fast. Like your name, claim to fame in baseball is you can steal bases. All right, and that's what a lot of these coaches look for is one, maybe two specific things that they're looking to recruit in your recruiting class so that you can kind of develop and grow in that program. Okay, just like you're trying to find the right fit school, the coach is also trying to do that. So wrapping things up here today, talking a lot about a lot of different subjects in this, and this is a first test run at this video, so I want feedback as if this information is valuable or not. We're talking about the idea of one, you have to reach out to coaches in order to be successful, all right, in the recruiting game. You can't just think that they're going to reach out to you or find you via social media. You have to go out and be the proactive one and do this with an Excel sheet, do this with some sort of organizational tab. And if you don't have these resources in place, reach out to me. I have these things lined up for a lot of my players that I'm working with. And again, this is a commitment. Again, I recommend this book. If you haven't read it, it's a great sales book as well, even for young professionals in the business world who are just getting started in sales. But how do you fall in love with the process? You really have to truly love being recruited. It's a hard concept to get. Hopefully you do. Again, thank you for listening to us, and this is our first episode of whatever I'm going to call it, but we're going to put it on YouTube and see where it gets us. So thank you, and have a good day.